Here's a better way of looking at business relationships. Hi, I'm Justin Hitt with Inside Strategic Relations. Do you want to grow your network, expand the understanding of your expertise, meaning become a recognized expert? Do you want to connect with those who can potentially become clients in a meaningful way? I see a message on a message board that says they were asked to speak at a conference, and the conference organizer, a nonprofit, asked them to pay a $899 fee for the speaker to speak at the event. Now, of course, all the comments said, what a scam, how this doesn't make any sense. The individual had responded back that they're not a nonprofit and that they got to pay for their time and expenses. And all of this sounds reasonable, but it's missing the value of strategic relations. The first thing you have to ask is, can you speak to an audience, or how large does the audience need to be for you to make $1,000, $20,000, $100,000? The second question you need to ask is, what's the quality of the audience? Third, if you're speaking for a nonprofit and they're asking you to sponsor or to pay to speak, can it be done as a charitable contribution? Can you wrap publicity around it? See, it doesn't matter whether you pay $800 or $8,000 to speak to an audience. You still have the cost of travel. You still have the time it takes. Even if they paid you, there is value to your time. So let's say the role was switched. I've been paid to speak at conferences, or paid to speak at luncheons or training events, and only got $100 or $200. My time is worth far more than the $100 or $200 I got for the hour speaking, because your hour speaking isn't just the hour you spend to speak. It's the time it takes to prepare the presentation. It's the research of the audience. It's the development of the campaign wrapped around that activity. So I might lose $1,000 to speak for $200. When I understand the quality of the audience, the relationship I have with the organization, and ultimately the net return for the presentation. See, asking how much can you get or how much you have to give to do the presentation is fine. But when you are up in arms about someone asking you to sponsor the event, and that sponsorship gives you a speaking opportunity to an audience of 1,000, of 500 people, of even 250 people, this is an opportunity for you to do something like a platform presentation. So they say, hey, you need to pay us $899 to speak to my audience. You're buying access to their audience. So you have to ask yourself, if I spoke, will I recover not only the $899, but would I recover the cost of travel? Would I cover the cost of time? And if you have a model in place, you certainly can. And the conversation goes on to say that they were asked to speak for $899, and she objected to it, and they offered to knock $500 off. Well, the objection could be a negotiation strategy, certainly. But again, if you're going to go stand in front of someone else's audience of 250 people, 500 people, 1,000 people, they paid money to bring all that together. And especially if it's a nonprofit or a trade association, they may in fact have spent far more than what you're going to help reimburse, or you're going to help with a sponsorship. Now, the negotiation comes in and says, hey, look, I don't customarily pay to speak to audiences, but tell me more about your audience. Because again, we want the business relationship. We want the positioning yourself as an expert. Because speaking at that conference can be leveraged in marketing campaigns. It can be a reason to generate leads. It could be further interactions, because again, that audience, if that audience is potential clients, then there's opportunities here. So how do we structure this? Hey, look, I don't customarily pay to speak to audiences, but tell me about your audience. What are their needs? What are their concerns? What is the purpose of this conference? What are we trying to accomplish? Is this a fee I'm paying to speak? Or is this a sponsorship opportunity? And if it's a sponsorship opportunity, where will you be, what kind of materials do you need for your newsletter? What kind of materials do you need for the handouts at the event? How many attendees will be there? What kind of print advertising are you doing? Will you be using my likeness in your advertising or presentations? What opportunities are there to promote the event so that you could maximize the audience? If you talk about it this way, you move yourself around the table. You're no longer being hired as a vendor. And see, this individual sees themselves as a vendor, sees themselves as having to be paid for their time, rather than someone who's able to produce value for their time. Hey, I'm customarily paid to speak, but this sounds like an interesting opportunity. The audience sounds like the right people for me. Will I have the opportunity to offer a valuable service to the audience? I have a book. Would I be available to include my book in your catalog or in your library? Hey, by the way, I have columns, basically short articles that would be perfect for this audience. Can we talk about the opportunity of including them in your newsletter over the next 12 to 24 months? See, they want you to pay because they have costs associated with holding a large event. And they want to recover as much of those costs up front and getting that money from the speaker. And by the way, speaker associations do this, trade associations do this, nonprofit advocates do this. They do this as fundraising. How you use the interaction is more valuable than whether you're paying them or they're paying you. And understand this, there are costs involved on both sides. And when you focus self-centered, you can very often push away good opportunities. I've spoken at business economic development conferences for free when I normally would have been paid $1,000 or $2,000 to have that type of engagement. So there was a minority economic development conference. There were 500 attendees. And not only did I speak for free, but I participated in the run-up to the event, and I provided materials for the follow-on to the event. This cost me far more than $1,000 or $2,000. However, I got $40,000 to $50,000 on follow-on business. Now, we don't hope someone in the audience will be interested. You have a methodology to approach the event so that you deliver value in your vocal, in your presentation, so that the audience wants to trade their dollars for more of what you have to offer. Is that sponsorship going to the recording of the event, and will I have an opportunity to receive a master of the entire event? Would that master come with mutual rights or non-exclusive rights that would allow me to excerpt parts of my presentation and use them in my podcast, or share them with my subscribers, or otherwise provide those materials to a larger audience because I believe in your mission? I believe what you're doing as well, and maybe even I can support you in the promotion of the event so that we can get more people in the audience. See, we're not paying to speak. We're buying access to an audience, and we're leveraging that access and implied credibility of the organization to further socialize your value as a provider. Now, there's individuals who can teach you how to do what's called a platform presentation, where you set up the problem, you share the pains, you share solutions, you invalidate those solutions, then you deliver the recommended path that only you can provide. And then at the end of that, you offer people the opportunity to raise their hand, to ask their questions, to connect with you individually, and you generate leads. So let's say you're speaking in front of 500 people. You paid $500 to be there. If you can collect 250 leads, you just generate leads at $2 a piece. If typically you generate leads at $25 a piece, you've saved yourself $23 per lead to get qualified leads. See, what we teach here is a mindset to find the mutual value. Money is only a medium of exchange. It has no value until someone agrees upon the value. If you're going to pay them $899 to speak when you normally would be paid $2,000 to speak, and there's an inflation adjustment here, both numbers could have equal value. from the perspective of the organization. So the organization, if it costs them $2,000 to hire you to speak, but they've got you a very high quality audience, it's the same cost for them, whether you pay them $800 or you pay them nothing to speak. So again, the typical response is going to be, you're being taken advantage of. This is obnoxious. And I'm reading through the comments here. Oh my gosh, there's speakers bureaus that will help you get paid to speak. Yeah, but the Speakers Bureau also takes a cut of your pay. And they definitely will not allow you to sell to an audience. There's other opportunities that they're never mentioning in these comments. And I didn't read all hundreds of comments, but there's literally a total scam, run away. Folks, it is about the audience. It is about connecting with individuals. How much would it cost you to put 250 people in a room? Now, this particular conference has 1,000 people in the audience. It has vendor exhibits. Hey, if I'm sponsoring the event, will I have a booth? So not only will I be part of your keynote speakers on different or your breakout sessions, but will there be a booth where people can come and find the opportunity of my book? Oh, and by the way, how many books would you like to provide to your audience in their takeaway bags? So they charge you $8.99 to speak, but you turn around and sell $1,000 worth of books before you even get there. And now you've got 1,000 books, a book in every bag, and you broke even before you even got there. Now, I want you to break out the expenses that it's going to cost you to go there. What is it, the value of your time? And then have a written plan on how you're going to recover those dollars. It doesn't matter if you pay them $100,000 to speak to the audience. There's a value exchange there. And this is more about the confidence you have in money-making ability, the confidence you have in being able to deliver to an audience so that you have that trail that, I've delivered hey folks, I've given you my very best presentation today. However, there are other resources that help you implement what we've talked about and help you get results A, B, and C. And if you're interested in these outcomes, then see me after my presentation, and I'd be happy to share with you more information, resources, and tools to help you get started. Folks, thank you very much for your attention today. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. And by the way, we have a booth out in the vendors area. I would love to hear about your unique situation. Do you see how that's a script, by the way, folks? Hey, I've delivered you a lot of value. I know you appreciate the value. And if you need help implementing what we've discussed today, come chat with me. Now, when they come chat with you, it's a lead generation. Let me get your business card. Let me get some information about you. Oh, by the way, we have this special report I'd like to give to you as a gift. The special report that I like to use actually is a survey. So the report tells about the problems, the pain that we talked about. It talks about the importance of getting the right help. And then it uses a survey as an activity that they can give me that survey. And 9 times out of 10, if they go through the effort to give me the survey, they become paying clients. Now, the value of my clients is hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. But even if your value of a client is only $10,000 over the lifetime of the client, paying $899 to get one client is actually quite a deal. So again, let's recap. Quality of the audience. Who will you be in front of? The types of engagements or interactions that you're essentially buying. So you're buying a service. Is this a sponsorship? Is this a donation? Hey, if you're speaking for a nonprofit and they're doing a fundraising activity, you can open up your presentation. Hey, by the way, folks, I'm paying to be here. I believe so much in the mission of the organization, just like you. So now you're connecting with the audience. And if you really want to see the results, let's talk about those results. You want to see the results. Here's my advice. Here's the results it achieves. You go through the case studies of your services. Now, not everybody's going to get these results, but they're definitely not going to get any results if this type of organization doesn't succeed. And that's why we're coming to you today to ask you about your contribution, asking you for your support. So you could do an appeal for fundraising while positioning yourself as a credible expert, while demonstrating your value to the audience, and then opening the door for those who donate over a certain amount for a one-on-one consultation. Hey folks, today we know this is a fundraiser. You know why you're here today? And anybody who contributes more than $1,500, simply bring me your receipt and I will provide to you a free consultation. Now, of course, you're all going to be very busy at this event. There's incredible things going on. So what we'll do is that we'll get your contact information and schedule your consultation in the next 3 to 5 days. Here's what will happen at your consultation. Here's the value of what you receive. I know this conference is delivering a lot of value. This organization is an advocate and they're solving problems A, B, and C. But those of you who can reach deep in your pocket and contribute to the good works of this organization, I want to give you something extra. I want to give you this extra value so that we can solve some of the problems that you face. Now let's talk about some of those problems, some of the potential solutions, and how it may impact your unique situation. Do you see what we're doing here? We're partnering with the conference. We're cultivating a relationship. And again, it doesn't matter how much they're charging you to speak. If you have a model, if you have an approach, if you have an understanding of the value of the audience, you could also look at it as you're buying access to these people. Hey, if I sponsor or I pay to come speak, will I have access to your mailing list? We have a number of resources and services that are great value to people you described that'll be in the audience, and I'd like to make sure that they have an opportunity to avail those things. And don't worry, I'll give a special discount because they attended your event. See, it's a mindset shift. It is a mindset shift. Now, there's going to be a lot of people that are bitch or complain, but that nonprofit will have a full roster of speakers. Because there are individuals who already know that they have $1 per head. They know how many per people in the audience, how many dollars they're going to be able to produce. They are measuring the interaction differently. I'd like to help you measure your interactions more accurately with more mutual gain and in a way that produces that beneficial outcome that gets you where you want to be, that produces the influence that you need to have a successful career, that helps you find new opportunities, that helps you deliver value, sometimes even just through spoken word or a recorded presentation, so that you can syndicate or leverage your time. I deliver all that and more in what we call Inside Strategic Relations. I'm Justin Hitt. I run that program called Inside Strategic Relations, and you can ask your questions about what we've covered here, topics about building your influence, and more at www.insidestrategicrelations.com, where I am heavily invested in transforming business relationships into profits guaranteed. These profits go far beyond the monetary measure. If all you're looking at is the money they're asking you to pay to speak, you're missing out on the value of the audience. We're not speaking just to get in front of an audience. We have a plan in place to transform the problems that audience has into solutions that they value more than the dollars in their pocket. We're buying customers. And the more you can pay to buy customers, to buy relationships, to buy the connections that you need to get where you want to be, the frankly easier your life is going to be. I want to thank you for listening. Again, we have a number of podcasts, newsletters, training programs, membership resources, and more at www.insidestrategicrelations.com. I'm Justin Hitt. Thank you.